Let's try and find out. Joining us is Hudson Institute Senior Fellow Michael Doran, live from Washington, D.C. Great to see you as always, Mike. Who's running the country?
Barack Obama is running the country. Of course he is.
Tell us, Mike, your take on the last week, and will Joe Biden survive through to the election?
Let me start with the last question. Will he survive through to the election? Nobody knows. It's amazing to watch. I have to say, I haven't been, I'm primarily a foreign policy guy focused on the Middle East. I haven't been so interested in American politics for a long time because it's an incredible drama. 20 years from now, this is going to make for some great movies when people actually in Hollywood will tell the truth about what's really going on. Right now, the people who make movies won't tell us what's actually wouldn't dare dramatize what's really going on. But it isn't the classic case of an immovable object meeting an irresistible force. As long as Biden himself won't step aside, they're really stuck with him. The process of moving him out is going to be so damaging to the party and so difficult and probably really impossible to do that I think they're going to just try to rally around as we're seeing. But just as James said, his decline is so obvious. It's so undeniable. The truth is out. We can't fake it anymore. And he's not going to get any better as he goes along here. So I don't know how. I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen. We just have to watch this incredible drama. And we can imagine the great dramas that it's going to produce in Hollywood 20 years from now.
Well, let's talk about Mike, let's talk about the great dramas in Middle East and foreign policy. As you said, that's your area of expertise. How dangerous is it now for the world that we have a visibly incompetent president? Will Iran seize this as an opportunity to cause far more trouble in the Middle East? Will China see it as an opportunity? What's your foreign policy take?
I think it's very dangerous. I think we're living through one of the most dangerous times of my lifetime. And I think if Trump wins when do we have it? We have the election in November. If he wins in November, then I think that period between November and January is going to be extremely dangerous. It's going to be the most dangerous point of all. I think all of the adversaries are trying to pocket what they can under Biden. I don't want to say that they're going to try to push us to war, or that would be dangerous. We're still an extremely powerful country, and there are people who are still making decisions and who have the authority to make decisions and so on. But there's clearly a recognition, I think, by Iran especially, that there's a lot of benefit to be had at this particular moment, because the entire Biden administration, not just the president himself, but all of his senior advisors, believe in stabilizing the Middle East by working with Iran, and so they have this administration that is weak. And that's favorably inclined toward them. So they're going to try to pocket everything they can, I think.
Well, that weakness has been evident for some time, and we've had 11 embassies evacuated under Biden. Embassies have been attacked. And you mentioned Iran, but what about China in these final months of the Biden administration, what we think will be the final months? Are they likely to make a move?
I think they're going to try to erode us. My sense with the Chinese is the thing that's really restraining them at the moment is their own economic problems. They have some really gaping holes in their economy, and a major conflict with the United States could be very damaging to them. So I think that is probably holding them back. But they're gonna try to erode our power, as they've been doing all along, and with Taiwan, by death by 1,000 cuts, rather than trying to make one big, boom and we're finished move.
Michael, I want to just come back, though, to the domestic side of things and the Democrats, because you've studied foreign policy, you've studied foreign regimes, you've studied revolutions, and what it feels like to me is watching on the Democrat side, what a preference cascade develops, and when suddenly one person says, it's okay to say that the leader has no power and that this is all an empty suit of clothes, everybody is now coming out and saying the same thing. Are we seeing that kind of thing? I mean, I'm reminded of like when Romania fell and when Eastern European countries fell and everybody just said, nah, you know what, we're not doing it anymore. This guy, we're done with him. How does Biden maintain any respect within his party?
That is exactly what I find so fascinating about this moment. I heard Rowan's long commentary about 20, 30 minutes ago, where he went through and said, what about on climate change and what about on gender? Are we going to see cracks in the whole edifice? Because what they've done so well since Obama is gaslight the rest of us. If you say, maybe it's not a good idea to give $60 billion to Iran, or if you say maybe Barack Obama is still living in Washington, D.C. because he's still playing a major role. Man, he's not necessarily running the whole government, but still playing a major role in politics that's unprecedented in our history. If you say those things, you get immediately branded as a conspiracy theorist or a denier of one sort or another. People roll their eyes at you in the room. You guys know this all well. They do it extremely well. And suddenly they can't do that on the most on a major issue. And they were just a few weeks ago, they were denying, they were all of them were testifying about his mental acuity and so on. And then suddenly we all see that the emperor has no clothes. So I do wonder what the cascade effect will be. But I come out of academia and I lost an argument with a friend of mine 20 years ago, where I said that the wokeness in academia, the pendulum had moved so far to the left that it inevitably was going to move back to the right. And I since have left academia, and I'm so glad I did, because it never went back. It just kept going and going and going and going. And all the rules of the sense that we have that truth will set you free and that the truth has a power all its own. I do believe that it does, but the thing that I've learned in the last 20 years is that truth is less powerful than I thought it was.
Mike, I wanted to ask you about here in Australia this week, the Australian government, a Labor government, called a junior minister, not even the foreign minister, the junior foreign minister called in Amir Maimon, the Israeli ambassador, and said, we will not support you if you get engaged with Hezbollah in the north. Now, you're a Middle East expert. Are you surprised, horrified? What's your reaction to some petty official in the Australian government dressing down the Israeli ambassador and saying Australia will not support you if you go in to defend yourself from Hezbollah?
I'm not surprised at all, and it wouldn't surprise me if they got an urging or a wink and a nod from the Americans to do that. That is the message. That is the message that the Americans are sending to the Israelis. If the really serious enemy, the Israelis are having a much bigger problem with Hamas than they ever thought they would, but Hezbollah is the most serious enemy they have. In some ways, even more serious than Iran. I mean, Iran is, of course, the power behind all of these enemies of Israel. But Hezbollah has 150,000 rockets and missiles amassed right on Israel's border. Some 10 or 20,000 of those are precision guided. Hezbollah alone can overwhelm Iron Dome and hit all of the critical national infrastructure of Israel. So the real threat, let's say the center of gravity of the threat that Iran poses to Israel is through Hezbollah. And the administration, the Biden administration, wants to end the war in Gaza today. It wanted to end it 2 months ago, if not before, because it's afraid of Israel going after Hezbollah, and it's afraid of that because for many different reasons, but among them is that it completely destroys their view of regional order, which is to be achieved in their mind by reaching some kind of strategic accommodation with Iran. The conflict between Hezbollah and Israel is the point at which where the Biden administration's Iran engagement policy really falls apart.